Hi, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, Your Strength Within. My name is Emmanuel Ben Isaac, and I'm here to help you overcome your anxiety. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do. And if you think that this episode is going to help somebody that you know that's going through anxiety as well, please share with them. And if it's going to help you, please click the like button. Today, what I want to talk about is to understand what anxiety is, to have a better grasp about what it is and where it comes from. Because if you're able to understand what anxiety is and where it comes from, you have a better chance in overcoming it. And most of us, speaking from my own experience, is that I didn't understand what it is and where it came from. Most of us might understand what it is, but we won't understand what is causing our anxiety, where it's coming from. And today, this is what I want to talk about. I want to give that clarity so that you have a better understanding about where it is and where it is coming from. Whenever I went through anxiety disorder when I was 20 years old, experiencing it, I remember I was in Friday night in my parents' house. I was sitting down. I was reading a book. It was like around 11:30 at night. I remember it was wintertime in December. I still remember. I think it was December 20th, if I'm not mistaken. I remember sitting there and reading the book, and then all of a sudden, I felt like this very strong panic. Very strong feeling. And I was like, this is weird. What is going on with me? I didn't understand. I'm like, okay, I feel very weird. I don't understand what it is. I'm like, okay, let me go to sleep and tomorrow morning it's going to go away. I went to sleep and the next morning, as most of you know, it didn't go away. It became even worse. And every single day, more and more throughout the days, weeks, months, it just got worse and worse. And I didn't understand what was going on with me. I felt like as if I was going crazy. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I was in my mind and then in back reality. I was in my mind and back in reality. You know, it was very weird. And also the times of days. Like I remember going from the morning to the nighttime, the fluctuation of emotions that I felt through the entire day, it was so weird. In the morning, I would feel great. Coming towards the late afternoon, nighttime, evening time, I would just tank. I would start crying for no reason. I would feel like this sadness and I would feel like this fear, very strong fear. I was afraid. And then nighttime came and I was totally fine again. And it was a very confusing time and I didn't understand. And this is why one of the reasons I am starting this podcast is to give clarity to people and to show them like, hey, listen, you're not going crazy. You're not losing your mind. You're not alone. I felt alone. I felt really alone. I remember when I was going through this, I felt so alone. Nobody understood me. I remember going to a therapist and I was speaking with him and he didn't understand what I was going through. I told him the symptoms. Now imagine somebody with anxiety sitting with a therapist and he says to you, I don't understand what you're going through. I don't understand what this is. I remember at that moment I was like, whoa, I've officially lost my mind. I'm officially crazy. That's what I said to myself. I lost it. That's what I said to myself. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, it sucks that I even went to this person because it made me feel even worse. And whenever I did find the right therapist, he guided me in the right way because he went through it himself and he understood it. And I was able to connect with him in a much better way because he understood what I was going through exactly. In a much deeper way, because most people that didn't go through anxiety won't understand what it is. They don't understand what you're going through. So it is very difficult for them to connect with you. It's very difficult for them to help you because the help and the talk is completely different than a person that is in a different mindset. I would say they fear in certain things. You're able to guide them much easier. But with someone with anxiety disorder, it is definitely a different approach and a different therapy in a way to help you. So what is anxiety? To better understand, what is it? What anxiety is basically you feel like this worry, fear, stress, and that you feel like as if you're going crazy. That's what you feel like with anxiety disorder. You're more in your mind and less in reality. You're more fearful about things that if you take a person without anxiety, wouldn't fear those things. Like, I would remember being very afraid for my health. I would be in the hospitals nonstop. I would check my heart rate 24/7. I remember I went to a heart doctor when I was 20 years old. He said, fine, we'll do an EKG. They put a certain monitor on me for 24 hours to see. And he's like, everything seems fine. He's like, I don't see anything wrong, but I was convinced that there was something wrong. I had this very strong fear in myself. And I know most of you feel that, and most of you are going through that. I went through so many hospitals, so many specialists, and nothing helped. Nothing helped. In the end of the day, I just had really strong anxiety, and I didn't understand that until I met my therapist. He was able to give me that clarity and to understand, like, hey, listen, you're not going crazy. It's just that you have anxiety. And he started to work with me, and he started to work on my worries, on my fear, and my stress. And I even came to understand in a much deeper level, to understand where is it coming from, because that's what I wanted to know. I'm like, what's causing this? Why am I always worried? Why I always have fear? Why do I have stress? For what reason? Where is this coming from? And then I came back and I realized, like, hey, this took me some awareness about who I am and some real honesty of who I am, because I believe that anxiety, it's work. It's self-work. It's a mindset that we need to change in our own mind, because the current mindset that we have is what's providing the outcome of what we have right now, of the anxiety disorder. So I had to make a change. I had to make a shift. And what I did is that I realized, like, hey, I think very negatively. Every time I see a situation, right away, instantly, I think negatively. That's the first thing. And it's normal, by the way, to think negative in a situation. But what I started to do is, anytime there's a situation that started to happen, I would think about it in a positive way. Like, for example, I would be scared that if I'll be in a place that there's no hospitals or doctors next to me, what would happen? What would happen? Like, they're not going to be there fast enough, and I would die. And I would look at the situation in a positive way and calm my fears down, and talking to it and calming it down, and say, hey, listen, what's the chances of anything happening to you? It's very small to none. And it's very hard for a person. It's not that easy that a person just instantly dies. And I would convince myself in the other way to calm my fears down and say, hey, nothing's really going to happen to you. Most of the time, nothing has happened. Let's not focus on that small percentage, and let's focus on the percentage that's not going to happen. And that's what I would start doing. Wherever I would go, flying on planes, whatever it was, I start to focus on the 99% of the chance of something not bad happening to you instead of something bad happening to you. I shifted the focus, because wherever your focus goes, that's where the energy goes. I started working on my low self-esteem, because I realized I didn't think that I was valuable enough. I didn't think that I have any value, any significance to bring to the world. I didn't think that I was good enough. And I started to work on that, and I started to realize, hey, I have value. I have something to bring to this world. I have this uniqueness that nobody else does. I started to pick up my self-esteem. I started to pick my self-confidence up. I didn't have any self-confidence. I started to pick that up as well. I started to work on it, reading books, listening to podcasts, listening to motivational tapes. These really helped me out on building my confidence and taking away the fear of failure that I remember I have, the fear of rejection. These are the root causes of anxiety. These are the root causes that caused me anxiety. And of course, I had within me, after discovering, is that I also had trauma in my life, which I worked with my therapist a lot. Now, you might ask, right, why does negative thinking cause anxiety? How does low self-esteem cause anxiety? How do these things cause anxiety? The trauma, makes sense, right? And I never really realized that these three things are what's causing me anxiety: the negativity, low self-esteem, and no self-confidence. So how is it that these three things, besides the trauma, how are these three things causing anxiety? So let's take first the negative mindset and see how that's going to cause you anxiety. When a person with negativity has a negative mindset, thinks negatively, he can take a scenario, and any scenario you can put this. Let's take in the plane scenario. A lot of people have fear of that. And what do they think right away? That I'm going to crash. And what they're thinking in their mind, that's what's going to happen. And all they're doing is just fearing that moment of the crash happening. And once they land, they're more relieved. They're like, oh, I finally made it. But the entire time from the moment that they need to fly, they're thinking in the back of their mind, and then when it gets closer and closer, it grows more and more. So they're focusing on the bad. Now, instead of what we could do is shift that to the good, shift that to the positive. Let's see what's good about it. Okay, flying is the best way and the most safest way statistically. So why not? That's hard for me to say statistically. It's very hard. So why not focus on the good? Why do we focus right away in the bad and that few chances of something bad happening? We think that we're lucky enough that for us to happen. That's what we think. No, let's shift that and let's think, why not enjoy it? Look at the positive. Look at the amazing structure, the way they fly the plane. It's an amazing thing. Being in the air, 30,000 feet up in the air, and you're sitting there as if you're sitting in your living room watching TV, eating food, not as comfortably, but it's better than taking a car and driving. You wouldn't be able to travel to all these places that you're able to do with a plane. So that's how you see the difference you can write your own positivities about any fears that you have. Write it down, take the negative and the positive, take the negative, what you're fearing and everything, and write that down and change it to the positive. You'll see you'll calm down. Now, how does somebody with low self-esteem, how does that affect their anxiety? Why does that connect with anxiety? Where does that come from? So with a person that has low self-esteem they're always comparing themselves to somebody else. They always need to show to other people a certain standard, a certain status. They need to act a certain way, be a certain way, because they are afraid to show who they are. And that causes stress to the person because they always need to keep up with appearance. And it is very hard to do that constantly with people that you're trying to prove and trying to be approval in their eyes. So you're always stressed out to get that approval from them instead of getting that internal approval. So it causes you stress. How does self-confidence affect somebody with anxiety? Is that they don't believe that they're capable in doing things. They're not capable of succeeding. They think they're a failure. So what do? They overcompensate. They work, instead of 8 hours, they're going to work 16 hours. They're going to become workaholics just to succeed because they don't believe. They need to prove, again, they need to prove that they are successful, that they are capable, instead of saying to themselves, hey, no, I am capable. Regardless of the situation, regardless of the outcome, eventually I will become successful and I will accomplish whatever I need to do. Words of affirmation. Now, a lot of people don't really like that. I've spoken to people like, oh, I don't believe in these words of affirmation and saying that I'm capable or I'm smart. So I asked them, why is it that you believe the negativity, that the negative self-talk, that you're stupid and not capable, or whatever negative talk that you do have? Why? Because they brainwashed you? That's the reason why? Why not brainwash yourself to be more positive, to build those words of affirmation? So if it's going to take you some time to build all of this, but I realized that whenever I worked on these things, I became more and more confident. I became higher self-esteem, more positive. My anxiety started to go away. And of course, I worked on my trauma with my therapist. I worked on it, whatever it was, whoever did bother me, I let that out. You have to let it out. Don't keep it inside. It's going to eat you inside. So I hope this episode gave you some clarity of what anxiety is and what causes it and what we can do to overcome it and succeed. The more you understand, the more you have a better understanding of whatever it is, you will become more successful at it. If you did enjoy this episode, if it did help you, gave you some clarity, please click the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you know somebody that's going to benefit from this, please share it with them. I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.